Luna, would you like to join our dance? Sophia's call rang out across the Riverside Classical Dance Academy, though her mocking manner revealed this was far from a sincere offer. 12-year-old Luna Martinez stood at the heart of that circle formed by graceful girls, her quality point shoes creating a stark difference against her threadbare sneakers. As her mother Carmen polished the mirrors in the primary studio, Luna sat in her usual corner spot, waiting for the day to end. This elite academy existed in an entirely different realm. The children of executives, magistrates, and physicians moved across the polished floors as though they possessed natural wings upon their feet. Luna, carrying extra weight and having darker skin, remained the unseen child of the custodial worker until Sophia chose to make her that afternoon's amusement. "Go ahead, don't be timid," Madison pressed, the group's unofficial commander. At 14, she had already claimed 3 state championship victories. "I'm certain you've memorized every movement from observing so frequently." The remaining girls chuckled, their flawless hair arrangements bobbing as they created a half-circle surrounding Luna. The time was Thursday, 5:30 in the evening, and Ms. Williams had departed for a conference, leaving the pupils to practice independently. Carmen, positioned across the studio, acted as though she couldn't hear while scrubbing the floor with additional intensity. This tone was familiar to her. She had experienced similar variations throughout her entire existence. "How about attempting that Swan Lake sequence we've been rehearsing?" Sophia proposed, her azure eyes twinkling with mischief. "You're familiar with a challenging section featuring 32 fouettes." Luna stayed perfectly still momentarily, her dark gaze examining each expression surrounding her. Something resided in that stare, a composure that seemed inappropriate for a 12-year-old facing public embarrassment. "All right," she responded simply, standing from her seat. None of those wealthy girls could have predicted that Luna harbored a secret that would transform this afternoon of intended shame into an experience they would never erase from memory. As her small fingers adjusted her simple T-shirt, Luna inhaled deeply. Her bare soles touched the chilly studio surface, and the atmosphere shifted. The cool laughter started diminishing when they observed the girl's erect bearing, her arm positioning, as if a solid frame had suddenly discovered a communication method that surpassed any beauty requirement. Carmen ceased her cleaning, her eyes expanding. She recognized that stance. She had witnessed it privately during evenings when she believed nobody was observing. If this tale of bravery captivates you and you don't wish to miss Luna's surprising moment with these privileged girls, remember to subscribe to our channel, because the upcoming events will completely change their understanding of talent, elegance, and dance's authentic significance. The astonishment on the girls' expressions was nearly humorous. Madison, used to unquestioned obedience, blinked several times before understanding that Luna had genuinely accepted their dare. "Seriously?" Sophia laughed, though nervousness crept into her voice. "You're actually attempting 32 fouettes? That requires years of mastery. I can only manage 16 consecutively myself." The other girls moved nearer for superior view of what appeared destined to be an embarrassing display. Several had retrieved their mobile phones, obviously planning to document the humiliation for later sharing on school networks. Luna approached the studio center with unsettling tranquility. Meanwhile, Carmen observed the unfolding scene from her peripheral vision. She knew that bearing well. The identical calm Luna exhibited when schoolmates mocked her mother for being merely a custodian, or when harsh comments about her weight resonated through the corridors. "Mom, you must witness this," one girl murmured to another, activating her phone's camera. "The janitor's daughter believes she can perform ballet." Carmen felt her grip tighten on the cleaning cloth, but she compelled herself to continue working. She had instructed Luna from childhood, never allow them to witness your breaking point. When they dismiss you, that's your moment to reveal your true self. Madison folded her arms, assuming a harsh judge's posture. "Let's be reasonable. Girls, if she can execute at least 10 fouettes without tumbling, we'll be amazed." The condescension in her tone was so dense it could be sliced with a blade. "And if she fails?" Sophia inquired, already savoring the anticipated triumph. "Then she vows never again to pretend she belongs in our environment," Madison responded, her eyes flashing with deliberate cruelty. "No more sitting there observing our practices as if she's one of us." The words sliced through the air like razor-sharp edges. This exceeded a simple wager. It was a verdict of social banishment, an effort to completely eliminate Luna's presence from the space she had quietly occupied for years. Luna remained motionless at the studio center, absorbing each toxic word. What those girls couldn't comprehend was that throughout all those years of external observation, she hadn't merely been fantasizing. During early morning hours, when the studio stood empty and Carmen performed intensive cleaning, Luna rehearsed. Carmen had been raised in Venezuela, where she had mastered folk dancing before circumstances brought her to America seeking improved opportunities. On evenings when they completed work late at the studio, mother and daughter utilized the vacant space. Carmen instructed Luna not only in the steps she had observed during daytime lessons, but also in the inner fortitude that originated from her heritage, the profound bond between music and spirit that exceeded any formal method. When you perform, Carmen consistently stated, you're not attempting to impress others. You're communicating with something greater than all of us. Madison clapped impatiently. Let's proceed. I have tennis in an hour and don't want to be delayed because of this situation. Luna took a deep breath, closed her eyes briefly, and connected with something those privileged girls could never purchase with their parents' wealth, genuine authenticity. When she reopened her eyes, something had changed in her expression, an intensity that made even Carmen completely stop cleaning. What none of those young dancers could have imagined was that they were about to witness not merely a dance, but a demonstration that authentic talent doesn't develop in costly classes or well-equipped studios. It emerges from a necessity to express a spirit that refuses silencing, even when the entire world attempts to suppress its voice. The studio's silence was nearly suffocating. Luna closed her eyes and momentarily returned to those special early mornings she shared with Carmen. During those intimate moments when only mother and daughter occupied dance's sacred space, real magic occurred. Carmen had grown up in Caracas, where her grandmother Mercedes had been a celebrated Venezuelan folk dancer. Before economic difficulties forced the family's immigration to the United States, Carmen had absorbed not only traditional movements, but also their underlying philosophy. Dance doesn't originate from muscles, she would say. It emerges from the heart and flows down to the feet. For 3 years, on nights when they finished cleaning late, Carmen transformed the main studio into Luna's private school. She didn't just teach the classical ballet she observed during daylight hours, but a distinctive fusion combining European technique with the expressive Latin strength flowing through her bloodline. "Watch, Luna," Carmen whispered during those secret lessons. "These girls dance flawlessly, but without spirit. You will dance imperfectly, but with such heart that nobody will be able to look elsewhere." Madison tapped her fingers impatiently, her Apple Watch indicating they had already wasted 15 minutes on this entertainment. "Can we begin already, or do you need additional time to devise an excuse?" Sophia laughed, adjusting her camera position. "Let her focus. It'll be even more amusing when she attempts and fails miserably. My mother always says everyone must understand their societal position." What none of the girls realized was that Luna had spent the previous 6 months preparing specifically for this moment. Not because she had foreseen this particular humiliation, but because Carmen had noticed the cruel stares and whispered remarks that had been escalating daily. "One day," Carmen had said months earlier, "they are going to attempt to destroy you, and when that moment arrives, you'll be prepared to show them your true identity." Carmen had used her limited savings to purchase used point shoes from a retired ballerina. During early mornings, she taught Luna not only the movements but how to transform every emotion, anger, sorrow, hope, into pure physical expression. Across the studio, Carmen did something she had never done during working hours. She stopped cleaning. She knew what was about to occur and needed to witness every moment. Luna took a deep breath and assumed fifth position, her bare feet finding perfect balance on the cold floor. The girls continued their laughter, but Carmen noticed something they missed. The subtle shift in Luna's posture, how her shoulders aligned as if an invisible cord was drawing her toward the ceiling. 32 fouettes, Luna said quietly, more to herself than to the others. "Let's discover what I'm capable of." Madison rolled her eyes. "Honey, I've received 3 years of private instruction from the state's finest teacher, and I still struggle with 16. Do you honestly believe?" Her words died as Luna executed her first fouette. It wasn't flawless by classical technical standards, but something mesmerizing existed in how she controlled the movement, as if each turn carried a narrative, an emotion that transcended pure technique. Her arms didn't move with traditional ballerina's ethereal delicacy, but with an expressive power that captured attention. Second fouette, third, fourth. Sophia's mocking smile began wavering. On her phone screen, she could see something extraordinary happening, but her mind refused complete processing. Carmen felt tears forming in her eyes. She recognized every movement, the secret lessons, the whispered guidance, the fusion of techniques they had created together. But something else was present, something Luna had developed independently, a musical connection that seemed to emerge from somewhere deeper than any formal training. 10th fouette, 11th, 12th. The giggles stopped entirely. Madison slowly lowered her arm, the arrogant smile transforming into an expression of growing bewilderment. It had required 2 years for her to execute 12 consecutive fouettes with proper technique. Luna continued spinning, and with each movement, it became clearer this wasn't luck or coincidence. This resulted from preparation, dedication, and natural talent that had been carefully nurtured away from observing eyes. When Luna executed her 20th fouette, something shifted in the studio's atmosphere. Even the most resistant girls began recognizing they were witnessing something special. This wasn't merely technique. It was pure art born from a young soul's need to express itself despite all barriers imposed by the world. Carmen finally understood that all those months of preparation hadn't only been about teaching Luna to dance. They had been about teaching a 12-year-old girl that she possessed a right to occupy any space, to dream any dream, and to never allow anyone to define her limitations based on their prejudices and privileges. 25th fouette, 26th, 27th. When Luna surpassed the 30 fouette mark, it became clear to everyone present that this wasn't just a demonstration of technical skill. It was a silent yet powerful statement that genuine talent recognizes no social, economic, or ethnic barriers, and that sometimes the greatest strength emerges in the very places where the world expects to find only weakness. 32 fouettes. 33. 34. Luna continued spinning with a precision that defied all logic. Madison felt her legs weaken and had to lean against the bar to prevent falling. In her 14 years of life, raised in elite ballet's privileged world, she had never witnessed anything comparable. "That's impossible," Sophia whispered, her voice trembling as she continued filming, but now for completely different reasons. What had begun as humiliation documentation had become a record of something extraordinary. Carmen could no longer contain her tears. Every movement Luna made validated all the sacrifices. The early mornings cleaning offices to pay for used ballet shoes, the sleepless nights teaching technique she herself had learned through years of observation, the entire weekend practicing silently to avoid disturbing neighbors in their tiny apartment. 40th fouette, 41st, 42nd. One of the group's youngest members began crying silently, not from mockery, but from something she couldn't yet identify. It was like watching a miracle unfold before her eyes, a complete redefinition of everything they believed about talent, elegance, and what it truly meant to be a ballerina. "My goodness," whispered a voice from behind the group. Ms. Williams had returned from her meeting just as Luna passed the 40th mark. She stopped at the doorway, her briefcase falling to the floor with a thud, unable to process what her trained eyes were seeing. How does a 12-year-old girl perform 4 to 5 consecutive fouettes? Williams whispered to herself, recognizing not only the impressive technique but something deeper, a musical connection that transcended any formal training she knew. Luna finally stopped on the 4 to 5th fouette, not from exhaustion, but because she felt she had proven her point. Her bare feet found the floor with a final grace that echoed through the studio like a definitive exclamation mark. The following silence was deafening. Madison was first to break it, her hands visibly shaking. Where did you learn that? I've been taking lessons for 8 years with the state's best teachers, and I've never exceeded 16 fouettes. 4 to 5 fouettes, repeated another girl as if she needed to vocalize it to believe it. I've never seen anyone perform 4 to 5 fouettes consecutively, not even in American Ballet Theater's professional videos. Sophia still held her phone, but her hands shook so severely the image was completely blurred. The video she had planned to use for Luna's social media humiliation was now evidence of something that would change everything, not just for Luna, but for all of them. "Luna." Ms. Williams' voice cut through the silence, filled with a reverence she had never directed toward a 12-year-old. "We need to talk immediately. What you just accomplished, that's not normal. That's exceptional." Carmen quickly dried her eyes and approached her daughter, her arms enveloping the small shoulders that had just carried years of prejudice and underestimation. Estoy orgullosa de ti, mija, she whispered in Spanish, her voice breaking. Abuela Mercedes Asteria tan orgullosa. Madison looked around as if waiting for someone to explain how her reality had been completely overturned in minutes. Her carefully constructed world of privilege and superiority had crumbled before a girl they considered inferior. I need to sit down, another girl murmured, sliding down the wall to the floor. Did that really happen? Did she really perform Fortify perfect? It wasn't just a fouette, said Ms. Williams, approaching slowly. It was the expression, the musical connection, the stage presence. Luna, how many years have you studied ballet formally? Formally? Luna smiled, her eyes meeting Carmen's. I've never studied formally, Ms. Williams, but my mother has been teaching me for 3 years. She learned from my great-grandmother, who was a principal dancer at the Teresa Carreño Theater in Caracas. This revelation's impact was like a bomb in the studio. All those girls with their expensive $200 per hour lessons and European credentialed teachers had been surpassed by a child who had learned dance in the early morning hours from a cleaning lady who had never entered a formal ballet school. Your phone, Luna said calmly, extending her hand to Sophia. I'd like to view the video you recorded. Sophia hesitated momentarily but handed over the device with trembling fingers. Luna watched several seconds of the recording, observing her own performance with critical, mature eyes. You can share that video any way you wish, she said, returning the phone. I'm certain many people would like to see what happens when we judge someone by their appearance instead of giving their talent a genuine chance. Madison finally found her voice, but now she sounded small and vulnerable. I'm sorry, Luna. I'm truly sorry. We didn't know you were, that you possessed this gift. That I was what? Luna asked gently, but with a firmness that made Madison swallow her words. Different from you? That's precisely what I am, and that's exactly why I can accomplish things you never imagined possible. Ms. Williams observed the interaction with growing fascination. Luna, would you be interested in formal lessons? Because after what I just witnessed, I can guarantee any academy in the country would love having you as a student. Carmen interjected gently. Professor, we cannot afford the tuition here. I work as a cleaning lady because I must support my daughter, not by choice. Full scholarship, Williams replied without hesitation. Private lessons, competition participation, everything. A dancer with this kind of natural talent cannot be wasted due to financial issues. The sound of applause began softly, coming from Madison herself. She clapped slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. In all my years of dancing, she said, I have never witnessed such an impressive display of raw talent. Luna, you are incredible. One by one, the other girls began applauding as well. It wasn't the condescending applause Luna knew so well, but genuine recognition from someone who had completely redefined their expectations of what was possible in dance's world. Sophia looked at her phone, then at Luna. May I post this video? But not as a joke, like inspiration. I think the world needs to see this. Luna nodded, a small smile touching her lips. You can post it, but ensure you give it a title that tells the truth, that real talent has no color, no social class, and definitely cannot be purchased with expensive tuition. Luna knew this afternoon represented more than a technical skill demonstration. As words of admiration and apology filled the studio, she could feel something fundamental had changed. Not just in how those girls saw her, but in how she saw herself and her place in classical dance's world, proving that sometimes true revolution begins with a single dance step performed by someone the world completely underestimated. 3 months later, Sophia's video had become viral with over 15 million views. The title she chose, 12-year-old proves real talent has no color or class, made Luna Martinez the country's youngest and most discussed ballerina. Riverside Academy was never again the same. Not only did Ms. Williams fulfill her scholarship promise to Luna, she completely restructured the admissions program. After witnessing Luna's performance, she explained in a national interview, I realized our academy was wasting extraordinary talent because of prejudices disguised as aesthetic standards. Madison Thornfield, who had previously considered herself the Academy's undisputed star, now shared the main stage with Luna in the most important performances. The experience had been initially humiliating but ultimately transformative. Luna taught me that being the best doesn't mean being perfect according to outdated standards, Madison confessed on a personal blog, which now promoted dance diversity. It means being authentic and connecting with something greater than technique. Sophia became one of Luna's biggest supporters, using her social media platform to promote other unconventional young talent. The video that began as an attempted humiliation was now used in dance schools nationwide as an example of how true talent transcends social barriers. Carmen was promoted to maintenance coordinator at the academy with a salary that allowed the family to move into a larger apartment. More importantly, she was invited to teach Venezuelan folk dance classes, sharing with a new generation of students a cultural richness that had been transmitted through generations. The Riverside Academy implemented the Luna Martinez program, a full scholarship system specifically designed for young people from marginalized communities with raw talent and passion for dance. Luna, despite her young age, became an official mentor for the program, helping other children who, like her, had been underestimated by society. In less than a year, Luna had won 3 national junior competitions, not only for the impeccable technique she had developed, but for the magnetic presence that transformed each performance into a unique emotional experience. Dance critics began discussing a new school of classical ballet, one that combined technical perfection with emotional authenticity. Luna's story reached American Ballet Theatre directors, who offered her a position in their Young Talent program. Carmen and Luna visited New York, where Luna had the opportunity to meet principal dancers who shared similar stories of overcoming adversity and fighting systemic prejudice. During an interview with Dance Magazine, Luna was asked how she handled the pressure of being a symbol of change in classical dance's world. "I don't dance to prove anything to anyone," she replied with a maturity that surprised everyone. "I dance because it's who I am. If that inspires others to pursue their dreams, then my dancing has an even greater purpose." The most significant transformation occurred at the Academy itself. The environment that had once been dominated by toxic competitiveness and social exclusion became a space for collaboration and diversity celebration. Girls from different backgrounds, bodies, and styles now dance together, each bringing their unique authenticity to the art they all loved. Carmen watched Luna's classes with tears in her eyes, remembering her grandmother Mercedes' words, "La danza es el lenguaje del alma, mija. Cuando el alma habla, todo el mundo escucha." Dance is the soul's language, my daughter. When the soul speaks, everyone listens. A year after that transformative afternoon, Luna received an invitation to participate in the International Young Dancers Gala in Paris. She would be the official United States representative, an honor reserved for the country's most promising talents. The girl who was once called out to dance as a joke would now represent her country on classical dance's most prestigious stage. The night before her Paris trip, Luna returned to the studio where it all began. Alone in the space that had once witnessed a humiliation, she danced one final time before the big performance. She was no longer performing fortified fouettes, but a free dance, a silent conversation with all the girls who, like her, dreamed of proving they belonged in places where others said they had no place. Luna Martinez's story proved that genuine talent knows no color, social class, or aesthetic standards imposed by society. More importantly, it showed that when we face prejudice with dignity, authenticity, and preparation, we not only win, we transform the world around us, creating spaces where others like us can dream bigger than we ever thought possible. If this story of courage and transformation touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove true power lies in never letting others define our limits, and that sometimes the greatest revolution begins with a single dance step performed by someone the world completely underestimated.